Well, hello. Welcome to IME 315 for fall quarter 2025. My name is Dan Franchi, and I'll be teaching this class this quarter. Although it's asynchronous, we'll be meeting each other through videos and during my office hours. By way of background, I went to Cal Poly San Luis several years ago. I have a couple of master's degrees from USC in industrial engineering and quantitative finance. I've worked basically 40 years in the energy industry, 28 of them for Union Oil, Union 76. And currently I'm running a small farming business of 3,000 olive trees up in Paso Robles, small. And I also manage the operations of 2 oil fields. Now I want to make sure that you feel comfortable meeting with me, as this is an asynchronous class. I have 3 days of office hours, Monday face-to-face in my office from 11 to noon, and Wednesday and Friday asynchronously, virtually, not asynchronous, virtual, at this Zoom link from 8 to 9 in the morning. And if you can't make any of those office hours and need to be with me, you can send me a text message, and I'll be happy to set up a separate meeting, at a reasonable hour. Now the course description, this is not like most engineering classes. Most engineering classes, there's a lot of technically difficult items. The math is fairly straightforward. However, some of the concepts are going to be new to you. Now there's 2 separate parts of this class. The beginning of the class is going to cover financial statements and fully allocated costs. Now these are not going to be in my recommended textbook, and I'll get to that shortly. These are going to go from my notes. Financial statements are accounting. You may find it very boring. We're engineers. We're not accountants. This is just to make you conversant with things you need to know going forward when you get out into industry. The same with the allocated costs. A little bit of it will be in the textbook, but basically these are going to be givens when you get out into industry. For purposes of this class, when you get into industry, you'll need to put together these costs. So the first 2 weeks may not be very exciting from an engineering standpoint, but bear with me, it's not going to be like that the rest of the quarter. Now the rest of the quarter, we're going to be doing investment evaluations with after-tax internal rates of return and net present value. So you're going to learn how to calculate these, how to use Excel, things like that for doing this. I can tell you that in my career I use these tools virtually every day. It's not specific to any engineering discipline. These are tools that everybody needs to use. So at the end of this quarter, hopefully you're going to understand financial statements, costs, and budgeting, understand the time value of money so you can perform economic evaluations on investments. And then if you're so inclined, you can, taking the FE-EIT exam, you'll be prepared for the engineering economics session of that. As far as a textbook, there are several textbooks. Now this is not new technology. This textbook is the one that I recommend. However, there are other textbooks that are just as good. I just lean on this textbook. There's 3 editions I've shown, the 14th, 13th, and 12th. They're virtually the same with the exception of the tax and depreciation sections. So this is the most current, but taxes and depreciation change all the time. So from the mechanics of how to solve the problems, the other 2 editions are just as good. And you don't need it. I recommend it, but it's not necessary. I'm going to be posting my presentations, my discussions, and you're going to be able to use those as a reference point. Now grading, I'm going to grade the homework. I'll grade in this format here. So I'm heavily weighting the homework. I'm going to be pushing you to do lots of work outside of class. Now I'm going to say that these are problems I've assigned before. So if you care to do it, you probably can find them from a prior student. They're not super hard. I think it's going to be very important for you to do the project and to do well on the exams. We've got 2 exams. They're going to be asynchronous. I'll describe those later on in the quarter. But we've got a midterm. You can block out basically 24 hours over Thursday to Friday from noon to noon, and the final exam is Monday to Tuesday from noon to 6. I've also got a project. It's going to be due the 10th week or the first day of finals week. It must be completed to pass the class. If you don't turn it in, you're going to get an F, bottom line. There's going to be 9 homework assignments. I'm going to assign everything weeks in advance, so I'm not going to be real charitable about accepting light homework. Got to be a really good reason. So let's go over what the class is going to look like. I'm just going to, homework's going to be due every Friday, so the first assignment is going to be due on the 26th, and then Friday in October, every Friday there's going to be a homework assignment due. And these are the topics I'm going to cover. These topics typically go along with this textbook. So for weeks 3 through 8, they go along with this textbook. The homework problems are going to be posted, so you don't need the textbook to do the homework problems. They're going to be posted. Now let's look about what you're going to see in Canvas. So if you open up Canvas right now, you're going to see this. I'm going to try to stay at least a week in advance, so that if you care to accelerate how you're working on this, there's going to probably be, we're in week 1, we have week 2. Next week I'll probably post week 3, etc. And then I've posted the first 2 homework assignments and their due dates. After the homework is due, I'm going to have a solution for the homework problems posted. Now, the first homework assignment is, once you see it, I can't post the solution to the first homework assignment. I can discuss it with you individually if you like, but once you see it, you'll see why I can't post that solution. We're going to be going over, I'm going to be showing example Excel sheets in the lectures, and I'll be posting those. And then a couple weeks into the quarter, I had this thing for 10% of the class. I'm going to have personal response questions that are worth 10% of your grade. And there's not a right answer. I'm looking for a well-written response. The idea is to get you to think a little bit about what you're learning and to write clearly. So, no right or wrong answer here, but it's something that we need to do, and to write clearly, because that's going to be important when you get into industry. And then finally, I talked about a quarter project. I'll be posting things in the categories of the quarter project as we go along. I believe it's the 6th week I'll hand out the quarter project, and then we're going to have interim deliverables about the project to make sure that you're on task for doing that. Now I'm teaching 2 sections of 315. They're going to be run very similarly, so if you have a friend in the other section, you can work on your homework with them. That's going to be the same. The projects are going to be different, and the exams are going to be different. So I'm going to be, that's something you need to keep in mind. So they're going to be slightly different. Because this is asynchronous, we can set the final exam basically whenever we want. Tentatively, I'm going to deliver it at 12 noon on Monday. Finals week, and it's due at 6 p.m. the next day, which is different than the midterm, which is going to be delivered on a Thursday at noon and due on Friday at noon. So that's worked very well in the past, and I don't see any reason why it shouldn't work just as well in the future. Now I'll cover that a little bit more when we when we get closer to that date, I'll describe how it's going to work. So I hope you're going to enjoy this class. I feel comfortable that you will. I'll be in my office hour Friday morning, first thing from 8 to 9, or in my office on Monday at 11 a.m. Thank you.